Hi everyone, welcome back again to Elevate Procurement Dialogues with myself, Lerato. I am your host. In this episode, guys, we're going to be chatting to the remarkable Debbie Tagg. She is the COO of Commerce Edge and Smart Procurement. She's been here for some time, and I think a lot of you guys would know who she is if you are someone who attends Smart Procurement World, the Indaba conference, right? Welcome, Debbie, to Procurement Dialogues.
Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure and a real privilege to be here on your podcast.
Do you want to just do a quick introduction for those who don't know who you are? It's always better hearing from the horse's mouth.
Debbie Tagg, thank you for giving job title. Been really privileged to be part of this interesting industry in the last 12 years. 12 years ago, all I knew was to have spell procurement, but it's been an amazing journey and just getting to know. And yes, my job title confuses people a bit. I joined Commerce Edge as the COO 12 years ago, and Smart Procurement just became this huge, amazing platform. I want to call it an animal, but that sounds a bit funny. They actually call it my third baby.
Is it?
So it's my...
So if you had to put a name next to the animal, which animal would it be?
Gosh, maybe a sleeping lion? I don't know, but it's definitely at 12 years, it's basically my preteen.
And then you've grown so much since you started.
As is the industry,
No. I must say, with me, when obviously I started logistics management and I started working in procurement, and one of the first events I got exposed to was Smart Procurement. And your name was there. I've seen you run a couple of panel discussions. There was a time I did some online ones, and I kept seeing this beautiful lady who was so eloquent, and you just know what you're doing. And Debbie, I just wanted us to talk about the power of networking and collaboration. And I think that is probably the heart of what Smart Procurement is about. For you, since you've been with Smart Procurement, what would you say is the key highlight with related to, the collaboration network as professionals, suppliers, etc.?
When I joined 12 years ago, so my background was actually international conferencing with a bit of HR before that, in terms of studies. But it was so amazing for me to come into an industry that was hungry for networking, connection, and done in a professional, meaningful way.
Yeah.
So, if I can give you some numbers, in 2011, before I joined, Smart Procurement World was maybe 300 people. That was the event. In 2012, it was 1,200.
Wow.
That was the growth. And that was, I'd like to say it was all down to joining, but no. Yes, we brought kind of a professionalization to it and how we brought everyone together. But you could just see that there's thirst for learning, thirst for working together.
Yeah.
And you can never say that you've achieved the pinnacle of that. I think it's something that's always moving and changing. I probably talked it just now, but I think what I'm passionate about right now is making sure that the next tier of our professionals will be supported in the same way. Seeing new leadership come through now. I've been here 10 years.
Yeah.
I want to see new heads of procurement
come through. Yeah. I mean, part of this conversation, or I guess the heart of what the podcast is about, is to inspire the next generation of leaders. And I think that connects with what you just mentioned now, that we are growing up. Some people have been in leadership for some time, and others are coming in. And when they find platforms like Smart Procurement, they should be able to see the value, and tap into that.
Yeah. 10 years ago, I think I was having so many conversations, and most people landed in procurement and didn't choose it.
True, for the most part, yeah.
For the most part. So part of what our journey has been is communicating and sharing heads of procurement's journey and how they got to be in the position they are, and hopefully helping new leaders jump a couple of steps by learning from those that have been there.
So since now you say you are 12 years in the organization, there's a training element, which is Commerce Edge. How does that connect for someone who's just a professional? How does that connect with Smart Procurement itself and maybe leveraging the tool?
So when I started with Commerce Edge, you're literally looking at a professional from all angles, right? So yes, have you got your qualification in procurement or supply chain? And even now, 10 years on, we've got other qualifications that are really interesting that have been developed. So that professionalization is very important. Your ongoing learning. So yes, you kind of got courses. One of the things I also learned years ago, I work for an international training company, that a lot about going to courses is also about meeting other people.
Yeah.
And that's where Smart Procurement comes in. And those Smart Procurement has always also been about world-class procurement. So that every time we run something, we say, well, what's out there? Try to also help the profession not just look within South Africa, to be more global mindset,
but also relevance.
It's our planet.
I know that was one of your themes the past years.
What's it, globalization.
Yes.
So we always try and bring that to the profession, and what is the latest thought process? Even something you might think it's just a sponsorship angle, but it's not. But how do we bring what are the latest solutions and services to procurement audience? We want them to come to whether it's Cape Town or definitely in Indaba, the floor and go benchmarking their solutions and saying, do I have the best that's out there? Do I have the best travel partner?
Oh, yeah.
Commodities
in my procurement.
Because it's also a platform as procurement, you can source for alternative suppliers because you may not know of others, apart from the networking part of it.
Yes.
Sure. That is amazing.
You want to say, what are all the e-procurement? I mean, if I look 10 years on, I started there with one e-procurement solution.
Now there's hundreds.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we want to be able to give you the best opportunity to shop around and know what's out there. So that's also, and then of course, which I'm passionate about and Smart Procurement's passionate about is the role that we've played in linking procurement
to small business.
Yeah, I like that actually. That probably emerged like 5 years ago.
More.
Is it?
When I started, it was literally that. It was an idea. Our CEO, Bernie Mlinkek, which many people know quite well.
Yeah.
He's also like
I can't say grandfather. I might be insulted.
Yeah.
Father in procurement.
Yes.
And he said, we've got this event. Yes, you've got the big service provider and not naming Oracle's SAP kind of name. Yes, that level. But what about your small business? And by the way, because before the new code. And I joined at that time and said, well, why don't we give this a try? And literally the rest is history.
And ABSA, has been our anchor for 12 years.
Yes, they've been the main sponsor for that. Yeah.
And the stories we have about that first year, I want to share a story with you. I used to do the largest rail conference in Africa. And I met on the floor that first year a guy hosted by Transnet, a business.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I cannot believe I finally met the person I needed to see. Wow, in Transnet. Yeah. He'd been trying them for 3 years
At that conference.
and he was on Transnet's ESD program.
And that's the funny thing about ESD. Sometimes, you go through it, but then you don't get access to the market where there's a linkage.
And we walked away and we went, okay, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And 10 years on, I think if all we did was just talk about it
And just leave it there.
But that's when I really realized the power of procurement. And since then, we've been building that bridge and educating small business how to work with corporate and government and vice versa. I think it's been a journey for all stakeholders in that ecosystem.
I think that is so remarkable considering the fact that we are I'll say the backbone of South African economy, majority is SMEs, and SMEs. So when obviously such opportunities are there, one can tap into them, right? Which I then want to ask, in your experiences you've been with, Commerce Aid or Smart Procurement, through the conferences, what has been the true value of the power of networking? Have you ever had people come back to you say, conversion, I met this guy, this is where I am at now?
I have so many stories
Yeah.
of that. And whether it's in your professional capacity, literally Lorato meeting this individual, and then when a job opportunity, etc. happens.
Yeah.
Even mentorship, a meeting today with a gentleman who's now come back into the head of procurement, Pick and Pay, who then shared with me 5 years ago, because we had linked him to an international procurement leader that actually we work very closely with now. They formed a bit of a support group, like AA. And these are senior level mayors that are engaging small businesses that literally their business changed. Because at a show, they went from having 2 people that they hired and employees to 20 through one contract. Example that came to light quite recently, we brought in a lady, Kate Cassette, who talks about the vested model. It's a different way of looking at supplier relationship management.
Yeah.
I need to check back.
That's nice. Actually, I've never heard of that. Let's check it out. Vested model.
About 8 years ago, she presented at Smart Procurement World in Durban. By virtue of that, she then got in contact with Western Cape Provincial Government. They then were very keen on her model and they went through a process. But actually, just in the last year, our own organization has taken that model and revamped and presented an entire new structure of how procurement will be done in government based on that model, but with relevance
to South Africa.
You obviously connected with her one of the conferences, one of the years.
It's literally changed how we will be procuring within South Africa.
That's amazing.
That's just one example. So we have so many constantly. That's our role. That's true. They need it's information, it's languages, it's who do you know. I also think the most interesting is just taking, sometimes a head of procurement, you might be head of procurement at the bank.
Yeah.
Are you ever really going to engage with
the head of procurement at
mining?
Yeah. Not really.
The chances of that happening,
the same industry
of course,
This is where you have
that opportunity. So one of the things we're really excited about, this is I don't say pet project, but last year we started with our CPO dinner.
Yes.
And we actually just wanted them non-sponsored, just to, come together and have a drink and a network. But our sponsors did come and support, so that's been great. But this year it's going to be once a month. Every last Thursday. I'm not going to tell you where they are. We've also opened up to say if you've got team members, bring them as well. What we'd like to do is make sure that we're introducing a head of procurement
to different industries and vice versa.
That's great, man. That's awesome. And I think that's what we need as an industry, because not everyone's going to get an opportunity to work at, other industries and get to see, how do you do it? How can I improve my business? How can I improve my bottom line? Oh, I didn't realize you can maybe save through this way. And then, just that sharing of knowledge, obviously for the bigger part of it is to empower each other, right? I love that. So for someone now, Debbie, that does not want to come to any of these networking events, and they think, what's the point? Everyone is there doing their own thing. It's like clicks and that and there. Or I've been coming, but it's not working for me. What would you say to someone like that?
I'd be like, have you looked at the program? We're trying. I think the reality is, procurement departments run very skinny.
Yeah.
First of all. So to take 2 days out or whatever is happening is tricky. So that's why the dinners are working. We'd also try and be flexible about if you want someone to come on day 1, someone comes on day 2. Something that I've also still been, or the team's very passionate about, how do we get to this next level? So, take a big procurement department. The banks typically will have 90, 100. So it's only 10 of them that are going to come to smart procurement. Well, unfortunately, they're high performers or they manage it. True. So what we launched 2 years ago, and this is thanks to COVID and online. See, we were running all of this online in 2-3 years, is we said, okay, bring your management team, but we'll have a highlights online day and the rest of your team can access. So that's been phenomenal because I'll give you an example. I'm not allowed to say. You're not supposed, but you're the freelance. That's how I have the big teams. One of the big teams. Actually, the management team has come, and then the African team and the rest of the team have logged on and had at least one day.
Sure.
But something we are also launching, so you are the first to know about it. We're actually going to start a membership base.
That's nice.
Like corporate membership, so that we can, with the lower levels, give them value throughout the year and access to presentations, networking events.
And that's the thing. So you don't forget the people in the ground. And the middle management.
At our events, you're getting 1,000 procurement professionals attending. But our universe and our industry is 30,000 just in South Africa. So where's the 29,000? How we as a community attending them?
That's a good one.
So keep you posted. Watch the space. We're just busy formalizing how it's all going to be. But we want to be more there for those that are from a buyer, even from an administrator. We want them to not feel isolated in procurement because you're already isolated within all.
I also felt isolated at some point. That this thing is a leadership thing, CPO this, CPO that, executive this. And actually you're the one who needs to drive performance. And sometimes you need the inspiration to also want to get there.
And you want to know that this is a career that you're in, there's big things that you can do.
True. One of the things that is so important that you just mentioned now, listening to everything that you've said thus far, is there's just this growth that's just going like this. You keep changing, moving, Do you assess where is the supply chain going? What does the professionals want? And how can we leverage off, the supply chain network? I'm just fascinated by the fact that you have online this, online that.
It's never boring.
Yeah.
Never static.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you've got just technology and industry in general that keeps changing.
Mm-hmm.
But we're always looking to that and saying, well, how do we apply?
Yeah.
To be frank, the challenge is to get away from the stuff that just seems to always be the same conversation. So
True.
Seat at the boardroom table.
Yeah.
Okay, corruption. Right. If I have to put corruption on a program, you'll
sell out your ticket for an hour.
From the love day one.
Yeah.
I think it's about changing the narrative and finding ways to influence that. I wish we could just change it, but it is what it is. So how do we support where there's meaningful change? Yeah, I think also just challenging and helping this industry look outside of industry. Something we always do is we have our CPO breakfast and we say, well, what is happening outside of procurement and supply chain? What are the big economic drivers that we need to be looking at? So we try and at any event handle this profession from a very strategic viewpoint right down to the nuts and bolts. And so that no matter what level you're coming at, there's something take home for each of you.
Does smart procurement, and not necessarily know, but do you understand the impact? Can you measure the impact of what it has done for the industry and the profession? Do you have those type of metrics?
The one metric we always have to put in is around the supply development.
Okay.
So we do measure that. They're not just by what monies were generated. I think last time I updated, we've supported 3,500 small businesses in this platform. That's in a physical manner.
Okay.
And I think we were very conservative by businesses getting deals at the event, small business. I'm not talking the big business deals. And I think we calculated over 100 million rand being generated. And again, that's conservative because I was working on a contract value of 200,000, a one-time contract value of 200,000 rand, not a 2-3 year. From a procurement industry and a professional point of view, and I suppose, what is your metric? Are we building competency? Are we building capacity? I'd like to think we are. So I'll tell you something. You ask about measurements.
Yeah.
Thing again, we're really excited about as we go into our year 4 of our procurement survey, which, to be frank, started 4 years ago. Partner is Oxalis.
Yes.
Was more than just a snapshot litmus test. Last year, we got a lot more in depth. Number one being that we said you can't have a procurement survey for South Africa if you're not asking public sector questions.
Yeah, because it was mostly private driven. Yeah.
So we said if we're going to now, so we've actually become the custodian with Oxalis of this. So we added those questions in. And this year, we have KPIs. It's going to be a difficult thing. In fact, we probably anticipate a lot of organizations going not measured.
Yeah.
Literally asking numbers. So watch out for that. And then that will also allow us to be able to, I think for the first time in a survey scenario, go this industry versus that industry, how are they performing on KPI? So there are some good surveys out there. I know like Deloitte does their CPO one, but I also know they've struggled to get African responses.
But you have a network of the African response. Technically.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very excited. And also something else that was new last year is we literally interviewed, we worked with 20 organizations that came on board where we started with the CPO. The entire team completed it, the survey, and then we did qualitative interviews, which was also
first time ever.
So now what is the what then? After you, because I've been the panelist to deliver the Oxalis. Yeah. To deliver the Oxalis procurement survey.
Panelists that we had.
That was funny. So, that was really interesting. I also was quite surprised to hear some of the responses that came in there. And then I just wonder then, what is the now what? Or then what? After you have delivered, we as procurement professionals can see, okay, this is where the industry is going. This is where we need to improve. This is what the thing, is this now driving further conversations with the CPO?
I think now you can benchmark yourself.
Okay.
So if you're in a particular sector, you can say, well, this is the average of order turnaround time, cost to process.
I like that point.
There's about 15 different KPIs. The hardest part is deciding what KPI, but we've had a whole panel into this point, so that's why I'm really excited. So I think for the first time, I've had CPOs say to me, listen, do you have something that says in this
industry, this is what we should be
looking at benchmarking and taking all our single numbers. So I think that's the so what. the so what is that you as a leader can say, well, where my organization, what is my maturity level? And then you can map your way where your gaps are.
Perhaps asking stuff related to ESG and organizations measuring the impact.
Yeah.
Besides you having to do it from a compliance perspective, but how then do you measure the impact of the people that you've taken them through this program, fancy program? But then...
So I see two spin-offs coming out of this. So we do have ESG questions, but it's a balance between asking too much and putting people repeating it. But I think we're there now. What we will be bringing back is the salary survey because that hasn't run since 2008.
Well, SIPS does run it. But I think it's on a global level, right? Yeah.
We want to do it here.
Locally.
So we've really got the question. We actually wanted to do it within this, but it was too much. It was too long. And I think we can also probably do an ESG spin-off.
Okay.
Which we can start talking, because we see, right, organizations are not talking ESD, they're talking ESG. It's fine.
It's also probably sexy.
It's like a growing term,
It's
sustainability.
It's fine.
Because it's got global back.
Yes.
I think now is helping organizations understand where ESD fits within that. A little bit more overarching. So, yeah.
I do want to tell you something that I learned from one of the panel that you did run. This was during COVID. You were so light and excited online. I was like, wow, the energy was on another level. Is this one of the great skills one should have when you're running a panelist, I would say, or conference, which just brings people together, just to pull you in from an attention perspective?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe it's a natural, but also... the ones that we are putting in front of our industry that are talking like yourself are dynamic personalities. We want to inspire.
Of course, yeah.
So it's the balance between kind of being a bit evangelical, but also practical. So this is something, no matter what industry, no matter what event you're running, is we also try to be a little less talk-shoppy. So you want to inspire everyone. They want to know Lorato's story. They want to know CPO's story. But they also want to know, well, give me a bit of a math. Give me the 10 steps how to. So you asked about impact. We've even I know that CPOs or leaders that bring their team to an event will make them present afterward. And I think those are the best leaders. And
to say, come show us, what is it that you've learned there? What is it that you've gotten from
our
this?
Responsibility.
It's smart procurement. And so whenever we're bringing something together that's what we need to give you that roadmap and you go back.
Yeah. Deb, I want to challenge you a bit. With all that you've said, which brings about collaboration and networking, and working together towards the one common goal as an industry, right, at a global level. There's also emerging silo mentality that is coming into the space, where one is doing this, one is doing this, woman's that, the other is doing a podcast, the other one is, and there seems to be, different pockets. I don't know at what point it will probably come together, but there also is competition, which I think is a healthy thing to do, if it complements each other. But in that, it's not, I would say, going with the ethos of what the networking collaboration is meant to do. Have you noticed that trend growing now?
Well, I think what you do here, and you've also found a niche in your messaging, is important. We cannot be, again, I think you're silly to think that this industry is 500 people.
Yeah.
So you said there was multiple platforms and conferences, that's silly.
Yeah.
But we're a big industry.
Yes.
So I think the more we work together, but at the same time, if we have a messaging, keep it out there, keep doing it. So I
do see that there's lots of things popping up.
But to also know that they include us as far as possible.
Yes.
But the industry is big enough. And you could have said the same around supply development and enterprise supply development 10 years ago. I think it's kind of calmed down a bit more now. It's kind of the more mature organizations are keeping going.
Yes.
But you can never say at any point that you've hit the nail on the head of
everything and all of that.
I celebrate what you do in both.
No, thank you. Because I'm also for collaboration, network, having to have conversations with CPO, yourself, and just being inclusive community after all. And this brings me to this point. One of the key things that we talk about here is celebrating each other's success and celebrating your highlights. What would you say was your greatest highlight of your career?
I think I've kind of alluded to it. 12 years ago, it was this small event.
Yeah.
Our CEO would say I created But it's not alone because I have an amazing team. And actually probably my biggest one is having this team that if I decided to live on a beach tomorrow, you're trying to live a lot, you'd have to play it first though.
Yeah.
But then we just, it's its own value proposition. Smart procurement will can exist outside of Debbie.
Yes.
Okay. So if I look back and I go, we had this vision,
and this vision now is
we're living it. Yeah.
it's an ecosystem. We even have a complete dedicated SME clinic.
enterprise supply development.
I like that
It all
thing.
exists outside.
So I can disappear tomorrow.
And it will run.
It will run. And it will also change and then we'll get bigger and better. But it's no longer, if I look back, 10 years ago, it felt a little bit like you were running a one-man.
Yes, Debbie, they've pulled all that right to center. Yeah.
It's not that. I think that's what's been achieved is something that is bigger than the end of
That's just, and that speaks to sustainability, business continuity management, all these fancy terminologies we do in procurement. You've lived it and you're seeing the value of that.
You build this team and this network
that's bigger than you and will has slave and will continue to bring it different.
Okay. And you did mention this one a little bit in our intro. If you had to label, of course, through an animal, metaphor, your experience working in the smart procurement, what would you frame it to be? You said a lion, right? Or was that a Debbie thing?
No, I think because a lion can have a caring, but it stands up and it will defend itself. And I think, if anything, in procurement supply chain, between public sector and private sector, we have to stand up and defend ourselves because sometimes rightly, but also wrongly, has been the scapegoat for corruption and whatnot. I've heard horror stories and my heart's gone out to individuals that literally are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Good people that are in this profession doing good things, but, there's powers. So I think we've got to protect those stories and protect those individuals.
Since you've run so many conferences, online, offline, I'm sure there's been a moment someone didn't pitch. Did you have that moment? And how did you come out?
What anyone who does any event management, I'll tell you one thing. We're not organizers.
Okay.
We're problem solvers. When you change your mindset to that and you realize the excitement comes from creatively solving a problem, you always manage it.
So what was the worst one? Your worst experience?
Oh, I think you always have a backer.
You always have to have.
You know what? Again, we're an industry, we're a community. Someone's there to step up. Whether you've got an amazing chair, whether you have to come in and do something, or you make a session run a bit longer, there's always a solution.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's ever been where that's it, smart procurement's closing their doors. I think people
start writing articles about you. And
humanity happens. Sadly, it probably does typically tend. I did have two politicians who, they were in the Western Cape. One was a minister and one was mayor. And
is this the one where you won the award? You came second.
Oh no! This was actually our event a couple of years ago. And because one didn't go up to say hello to the minister refused to come down to speak. And you at that point be like, "Oh, you have to approach a call." But we were at a stalemate, and I thought, well, this is it. Either I'm going to have to carry a minister over my shoulder, or but eventually someone then got up and just got on with it, and it was fine.
Nice.
So you have stories.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're human beings and we all have a greater purpose when we're at these events. And
move on.
Sure. Thank you so much, Debbie. You did well. I know 30 seconds. I want to then move to the last piece just as we wrap up, which is mentorship.
Yeah.
Do you believe in mentorship? Do you have a mentor? Of course, part of, I think, what Smart Procurement is doing includes mentorship, right? Yes, some people don't believe in it, but what's your take on it?
Gosh, how can you not believe in it? You can't grow unless you are engaging and learning from others. So because by nature, whether I'm talking to CPOs or a small business owner, I think it's not formal mentorship, but you're learning. Mm-hmm. I will say my mentor in this industry for the last 10 years has been our CEO, Bernie.
Okay.
I've learned so much from him. I worked for a horrible boss before then.
Okay.
You won't figure out who it was, thank goodness. And it's not even in industry.
Okay.
But everything that boss wasn't, our Bernie is. Yeah. So, I've learned humanity, looking after people.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of been my mentor professionally.
Yeah.
But then I've learned so much from ones in industry.
Those that you meet here.
100%, yeah. So I don't think I could ever, outside of, our CEO, take it to a specific person. But there are males, females, leaders that I've had an absolute pleasure to work with. And that so much of what we've done at Smart Procurement didn't come from, of course, Debbie's thoughts at 12 o'clock at night. It's listening to what these individuals and leaders say, can't we, why don't we? And you go, yes, I'll make it happen. And they're the ones that have, you say there's so much going on. It's because everyone is sharing a vision and feeding back all the time.
One of the craziest stories I've heard about mentorship from one of the, business owners, and she started doing well. He said, well, I don't need this. Those people are probably not making millions like I am. And that's the mentality other people have.
But if you like that, you can never say you stop learning.
Yeah.
You're learning until you're 95. Because then you don't create depth, and then I think it's a little bit arrogant, to be honest.
Yeah, well, apparently that's how things work. Yeah.
Maybe it's the formal mentorship. I don't know. But so are you going to ask me about women? Probably. I think as females, we need to look for opportunities to mentor and also not be threatened by
another female leader.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my follow-up question. Since you are a female leader in the space and you've taken a leadership role, have you received any jabs from other women? This one, she thinks she's better, or she's not taking us with when we go up.
I think because we play a facilitation role, I'm protected from that as an issue.
Okay.
I do know that it happens, within organizations, and I think it's very sad that it could happen like that. I think, I'm quite an A-type personality. People will know, so I don't do the politics. I'm very bad at politics. So inadvertently will say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But the biggest joy I've received in my life was not actually what I achieved. And I alluded to it earlier, to stand back and to see your team, just watch someone else grow. And that's harder, hey, because it's not like I made a phone call and, this happened and it equaled X and you succeeded. Helping people grow is a long journey. But when you've done that, you've achieved way more than what you could personally achieve in sales or your own activity.
True.
Yeah.
What do you think are the important ingredients that make a collaboration network successful?
Well, I think you maybe touched a little bit on not being threatened.
Yeah.
Just an openness. And we saw, I think COVID was amazing in kind of overcoming a lot of those barriers. Someone raised today, funny enough, in a meeting that maybe people are raising those barriers again. So I think we've got to be careful of that.
Okay.
We have a very open relationship with most people. So over the years, that's always worked really well. But I think open communication and expectation is also very important. So whether you are mentoring someone, whether you are working together as organizations, whether you're sharing information as CPOs, don't have an agenda, just be upfront.
Just be upfront.
Just, this is, why are you doing this? Why are you taking the time? Why I am? And then
I love them. You have authentic people because I'm actually, it's one of my core values. You must be authentic, real, and honest.
Yes.
And you can build something when you go forward with that, and I like the fact that you mentioned something related to that.
Yeah.
Any misconceptions that you've seen grow related to women leadership, especially in the space where it's like we can't share the same stage, we can't be in the same team, those type of things?
I can't say I've seen it hands-on. I know it's there. I know it's been raised on our platform by our women leaders.
Yes.
So, and probably yourself as a practitioner, you've seen it.
Yeah.
So I think our role is always to see how we can reduce that. I remember years ago, I used to work in about 10 different industries. I'm talking, 15 years ago, I was in finance conferences, rail, and standing in a conference room and going, I'm the only female here. So I think it's encouraging to stand at our conferences and not feel that.
Yeah.
And we must just support each other wherever we can. And encourage. And we do deal with a bit more than men do. That's reality, right? We want the career. We're eternal guilt. We've got the kids, we've got the career, and we're always going, which one's more important? But, let's not discourage each other. Let's encourage.
True. Have you ever suffered from any, what do you call the syndrome? Imposter syndrome?
I'm not a procurement practitioner.
Yeah.
And often I think people think I am because they're like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will never sit here and say I've done the purchase order and the strategy. So I hope I've been honest enough about that.
Mm-hmm.
But what is something is just listening and hearing challenges and feeding and linking people with solutions.
And that's
So I've learned a lot. I think if I'd had the time, I would have loved to actually kind of formally study SIPs, etc. But I had to choose the little bit of time I've left with my family.
Yeah.
So that's where sometimes I feel a bit, when I'm sitting on, I'm sitting on a procurement panel and I'm thinking, gosh, what I know is what I've learned. But
you've done so well. You running those panel discussions. You obviously come across like someone who knows the game.
But it's not about, I think again, it's about you're just a facilitator.
True.
It's not me showing off what I know because, to be honest, what do I know?
Yeah.
It's facilitating.
That is very, very facilitating, which is quite great.
I will take that. Imposter out.
Wow. Debbie, thank you so much for coming through today. Is there any last words you just want to share related to the power of networking collaboration in the supply chain space? Just one can take home with.
So there's a saying that says, the cobbler's children never have shoes, okay? Networking, training, we never have time for it, okay? But when you like going on holiday, we feel we never time. But you never go on holiday. You never go to a conference. You never go to training and say, I wish I didn't do that.
Actually, now that you're there and come back, you're like,
we need that. It's the same as time off. We need that to feed us. It's what Maslow's hierarchy, whatever, we need it. And even in my own professional capacity, I think, oh gosh, I don't have time to go to that conference. But it's the best thing you can do, or the best thing you can do is to take that time and have that conference.
Inspired when you come back for sort of.
We have to. Otherwise, how do we feed back into our roles and inspire our teams and inspire ourselves?
Of course, absolutely. And of course, I met you through the networking and collaboration space. Right?
So I get there's never time for it, but don't forget, actually, it's what we need.
That's true. Yeah. Well, in this podcast, we'll give our guests a little gift from me to you, which is...
you're going to organize me?
Of course. Here's the freaking...
It's Feb. I'm good now. I'll be organized from...
Somewhere on your desk. Remember our conversation and love it. This is inspired, of course, by being organized, and more than anything else, a couple nugget every day that you can just read and inspire yourself and go into a negotiation. You've got something nuggets to remind you, and that's all come.
My nugget today is act right. It begins with a deliberate choice to put effort into your task.
Absolutely. Love it.
It's been a great pleasure and just actually a lovely chat.
Thank you so much. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.